All right. Mayor Fullen, are you prepared? Are you ready? Thank you. Well, we'll let Mayor Wright go live, or let's see that nice little mural behind him. We'll know he's ready.
Here I am.
There you go. Okay. Jessica, why don't you throw those numbers out and we'll start doing our little massaging here to try to make everybody happy.
Okay, you should see that screen now, the score sheet. Do you see that? Okay, so I'll just point out the box you want to watch is right here where it says remaining. This is how much funding we have left to add to projects. So as we change these numbers around, this will show us what we've got left to work with.
Okay, so if you would just share on that recommendations, is that the minimum funding?
Yeah, right now what's in the recommendation in the yellow column is the minimum. So now you give me changes and I'll start doing that.
Okay.
So I guess I'm unmuted. So I have a question. If you go to average committee scores, it has Santaquin ranking the highest. Then if you go back to final score where you were, they ranked the lowest, 52, the very lowest.
Yeah, so the total score adds the admin score and the committee score. They scored low on the admin score because their LMI percentage is low.
Yeah.
It's only
So-
51% as opposed to 100%.
Yeah. So I would feel with our committee and our committee make a recommendation, we kind of look at our committee scores and maybe adjust dollars where our committee scored higher.
Yeah, I would suggest that we fully fund Santaquin City. I think it's a good project. If we,
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Thank you.
You know, and it's simple, but it's necessary.
Absolutely. And I don't necessarily have a problem with Spanish Fork. I know those infrastructure projects are very costly and very, very important. I wonder if we fund them fully with the 200,000, but I wouldn't necessarily be against that either. It's just an open conversation.
So that's their minimum. So they are funded fully if we do that, correct?
Yeah. That's right.
So with Goshen, they said in their application that if we didn't fund them, that they didn't have any money, other money sources. So what will happen if we don't fund them fully?
Well, I can tell you that the water metering thing is the one we're all grappling with. I mean, it's provides efficiencies, but then we are under a state mandate by, I think, is it 2030 to have at least our PI water, and that would, I guess, I don't know if I should have asked this question to Mayor Staley, if that, they're probably all culinary water.
Yeah, it is. I think the 75,000 out of the 100 though would give them a good start.
It
on
would.
that.
That's just
And
what I'm
put them
thinking.
on the road to getting that done. So
Yeah.
I approve what you've got there.
I absolutely do as well.
Okay. You know, I think the United Way, I know it's just, you know, in comparison, it's a small ask, but you know, I think that's just kind of seed money to see really what they can do. I really like the fact that they can now explore a little bit and on their models.
I do too. I think it would be money well spent.
So really we
American
only,
Fork, so what about American Fork City? Because we're only funding them half.
And that's where I was talking about the possibility of the extra amount going to American Fork, and you know, and I'm fine to stay at 250. But if there's some extra money, I certainly would like to benefit from that as Payson City. But
yeah. So if you wouldn't be able, with 137,000 left, you wouldn't be able to fully fund American Fork because they would need another 150, but
Actually, isn't it more than that, that is left over after we fully fund, do the 200,000 for Goshen and another, what, 50,000 for Santaquin. I think there, if my figures are right, there should be six, see.
yeah. I'm looking at the spreadsheet that she's sharing with us that shows 137,000 left.
Yeah, right here. I'm sorry, I missed. Did you want to fully fund Goshen's, both of their projects, including the water meter? No, okay.
What if we gave American Fork another $100,000 and then the almost $40,000 to Payson City?
Yeah. Well, punch that in and see what it looks like.
And you kind of look at a portion, the percentage request.
Yeah.
And then what, oh, the remaining to Payson?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
I like it.
Your formal not as it's set up currently.
I like it as well. I think that's pretty slick, and we're able to get everybody, as I said, either fully or real dang close to it.
So is this the full time we haven't left somebody off the hook? Everybody who's requested's gotten something. Don't we usually, has it in the past at least one? Is this the first time everybody's gotten their minimum or more?
Well, that's because we used to include the public services in this, and we did have to turn away a few.
Oh, okay.
And then
It's not as good as I thought.
but pretty good. Not a bad year. I'm gonna just read a comment by Mayor Fulmer. Can Goshen use the money interchangeably on what's critical to them? So we do have to have them enter into a subrecipient agreement with Utah County, and in that they include their scope of work and their budget. So that would require amending that if they wanted to change which they were funding, unless we designed a scope of work and budget that did that. I'm not sure if the county would want to do a
So what
subrecipient.
you're saying, Jessica, is if, what happens if the demolition comes in under that? Could they take that money and use it on the water meters?
Yeah, they
Okay.
absolutely could. We would just have to amend the contract for
Okay.
that. So yeah,
Alright.
we could do that.
And we would need to reflect that in a motion.
Oh,
Yeah, so I would bring that to the ARC for a vote. We'd probably just do that via email if it came to it, and you could approve taking that leftover money and applying it to their other project.
So on your United Way percent of requests, that's 100, right? Even though it's blank? Yeah, right there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Formula didn't drag down. There we go. I do want to just point out, in the past, when we don't fund our high scores very well, this is public information that we'd want to make sure that the public understands why decisions were made not to fund our high scores. So I just want to make sure we address that.
Yeah. So I would think, I talked to Jessica a little earlier, that she says in the summer, this committee has a meeting where we address the what ranking, the ranking that you guys do as staff. And I do think at that time we ought to review the amount of dollars spent and the amount of people serviced. I think self-help homes ranked real high because they're 100% LMI, but it only helped 30 homes, or something like Santaquin ranked kind of low because they took a geographical area, but actually 250 people are serviced. So I don't know that we can state a reason right now, but I think because of this, we ought to review that in the summer. So our our administration scores more reflect what we think. But if you look at our average committee scores, they differ quite a bit for administration scores. So I think we ought to review that this summer.
Yeah, we could definitely bring that to the summer meeting, review the scoring rubric and make adjustments. But But these were the approved, this was the approved scoring rubric that the ARC passed in anticipation of this funding cycle. So I just want to make sure we address that. But yeah, we'll definitely put it on the agenda for our summer review meeting.
You know,
Fulmer asks,
oh, sorry.
Mayor Fulmer asks, does it affect the money we get in the future for the LMIs?
With Goshen's, no. They surveyed their entire community and both projects serve the entire community. And so that LMI number will stay the same regardless.
But does that answer your question, Mayor Fulmer? Or are you thinking in holistically, does any of this affect the LMI?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that won't impact our future funding with the LMI percentages that we have. That had been an issue in the past. We got to a point where the lowest LMIs were getting a lot of the funding, and it was creating problems with how much of our money was benefiting LMI people. I think, yeah, that's what she's referring to. But no, we're not in that position right now.
Well, and two, you know, there's just a reality, even though, I mean, I'll just talk about self-help homes, that when you have 1.2 million and there are such a big request, and then you have to, the weighing out on how everybody is affected by that sum of money, even though they score high, that's when it becomes the judgment call of the committee. And it's tough to think that you just wiped out almost 3/4 of your funds. So there's that.
They were asking for 67% of what our total funds were. So that's a big chunk.
That's a big.
And in previous years, they've asked for, I don't know what it was, 200 or 250. Anyway, it's a humongous increase from previous asks also.
You know, and I guess that's probably a strategy, is you write a request and, you know, you all pure intent, but how do we get the most and for what, and, you know, so, but it's a big number.
Yeah,
sure.
So I do really like how we have it split out. I don't know how to make a motion to include Goshen and letting them prioritize.
is that something we just have to address at the time?
Yeah, so if you want to hold them to these two projects as proposed, we will pass that now. And if they want to make changes to that in the future, that would just require the ARC approving an amendment to either contract. So you can approve it as is now and make changes in the future.
Or Mayor Larson, what you just said gives that flexibility right now, with the ability of Goshen to use their 2 allocations to, I don't know, I don't make motions anymore as mayor. I just try to listen to them.
So I'll make them. I'll attempt to make the motion. I make the motion that we approve the allocations as before us, giving Goshen the discretion to prioritize between their 2 projects. Does that work?
Yeah, that'll work. We can do that. And then if they change that in the future, we can make changes. But at the onset of their subrecipient agreement, we'll let them determine where those funds should go between these 2 projects.
I second that motion.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mayor Larson, second by Mayor Hunsaker. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Mayor Fulmer, I'll just wait for your vote in the bottom here.
Yep, she says in favor.
In favor? Okay. Are there any opposed? Okay. All right. Motion passes unanimously. All right, if you could bring me back to the agenda. I think I know how to close things out. Let's see.
We actually have 2 more items. So number 8 and number 9.
Review and approval new CBCB COVID requests. Okay, I'm going to give that back to you, Jessica.
Okay, oops, here we go. So just to give you an update on the COVID-19 funding, oh my goodness, sorry, that we received in the Utah County program. You'll see here in this summary that our total allocation was $1.4 million, and we've gone through 2 rounds of approving projects. So this is a completely separate fund from our normal CDBG. And we still have this over 1 million left to allocate. I've been working with the county health department as requested by the ARC, and they do anticipate putting in an application to purchase vehicles or trailers to do a mobile vaccine clinic. And so they're working on that, but they have to go through their purchasing department to get their budget aligned and things like that. So they do anticipate requesting funds for that. But the second request that we have, House of Hope, again, this is a public service agency. They brought their project to the Public Service Joint Committee, and we essentially ran out of funds there, but they could qualify under the CV program because their project is an HVAC replacement, which right now all of their bungalows, the windows don't open, and so there's no air circulation, and they just have swamp coolers. And so if they upgrade the HVAC system, it will improve air quality. And so they can qualify under the COVID-19 funding. So their total request was $45,000, and Provo and Orem and Utah County would each take $15,000 of that if you would like to approve the project.
You know, I think I can speak to this, and Summer and Mayor Fulmer can write about it. They came before our board. This was one of the heartbreakers that we had, that we felt was a good project. House of Hope, I'll just paraphrase, it's basically mothers. I can't really think of the purpose, but they're with their children. They're getting treatment. Is it drug treatment, Jessica?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's a little place where they just go and have a little community. And they can't open the doors because of it's security driven, so nobody can sneak in and sneak out. And the swamp cooters are just not doing it, and they're aged. And this one was one of the toughest ones, and we thought it'd come back here as well. So I can speak that it was a good project, well presented.
So I have a question, not necessarily against House of Hope, but on our allocation remaining,
Mm-hmm.
how long does that last? And if it doesn't get used, what happens?
Good question.
Yeah, so we have 6 years from the onset of COVID, so we're down to 5 to spend the funds, but we have to submit our plan for the use of funds by August of this year. So we have to figure out what to do with this money by August. So that's another item we could discuss. You know, if the health department can get the mobile vaccine clinic application in, that's great. I'm not sure it'll be $1 million. So we do need to identify some other projects, and I would be certainly happy to hear if you have anything.
So,
Well,
can we identify that? Do we have to have a dollar number, or can we identify it as a project?
There has to be, I think we could submit a general category. So public service, public infrastructure, economic development, or public health and safety. I think we could categorize it as a broad category, and then we could add the specifics later. But we'll probably get a lot of pressure from HUD to give them a final answer.
you know, I think, you know, the county health department, the county has received millions, and I'm not, they 45 million up front, and now, and I read, and I'm just speculating because I didn't dig deep into the article, where it was like 200 million. So I would say if they're going to submit an application, I think it would be wise to see all those COVID dollars and how they've been spent. I think that's good information as a committee that we should have, so that we can see how they've used that to fight the pandemic or whatever they've done with it within the county budget.
I agree 100% with that.
Okay,
I'd like to know where the money's going.
we can definitely request that information.
Okay, and then as far as, you know, I mean, I can think of some of those applicants in our combined meeting that we just didn't quite get everything to that needed it. Knowing that this is here, I think we could take a look at those again. They're all familiar names that we've had in the past, in the past year or two, and Children's Justice Center, and maybe we can get them into more of a fully funded state rather than partially funded. Would that fit?
The trick is we have to tie it specifically to preventing, preparing for, or responding to COVID-19.
Okay, so
that's the tricky tie. Mayor Fulmer asks when the applications are due for CV funds. We're accepting those on an ongoing basis, so there is no deadline. We are accepting them as needs and priorities come forward.
So let me ask you this. Did Mayor Wright leave us? Oh, there he is, right in the middle. Sorry. Would that job creation and that project that we just viewed, would it qualify under this?
Probably not, because that is not responding to COVID-19, and that it's not that the downtown area was in decline because of COVID-19.
Okay, so you have to actually show the loss of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, you'd have to say that the jobs that you are creating or the jobs that you are retaining would be lost because of COVID-19 otherwise.
How do we get the word out? I mean, to me, that's a lot of money, and I'm just thinking, is it widely known the people that this is available?
It would. I've got a question. I've addressed this before, but we have the stadium cinemas that in our city, and they have been affected by COVID. Would this be something that they could use as well?
For what type of activities?
Well, just to help them to stay in business. I mean, they've been hit pretty hard as far as COVID, and they're starting to get back up. And they've been quite innovative in some of the things they've done, but definitely they've been impacted by COVID.
Yeah, so that would probably be an economic development activity with job retention as the qualifier. So they would have to submit documentation that employees, that they would have had to let employees go, or that they did let employees go and are now bringing them back because of COVID. So yeah, we could do that.
So they don't have to be a 501c3 or a governmental agency, or do they?
No, they do not. You can help for-profit businesses if the beneficiary, what am I trying to say? If the outcome is job creation and retention for LMI residents.
Okay. There's a lot of COVID money out there, and it's in all these different silos, and if you're not real aware, that you can kind of get lost in it a little bit, and there's probably more coming, like it or not. So
Mayor Fulmer is asking if housing could be tied back to COVID. There's been some discussion with HUD staff about that. I know Orem City is funding some of their critical housing repair projects to COVID because keeping the house safe and healthy and preventing people from losing housing is how they qualify. So that might be something we could pursue. Yeah, I could talk to our HUD rep and see what types of housing projects we could qualify.
I know there's a really good rental assistance program right now.
Yeah, so you're asking specifically about self-help homes. That would be hard for us to make that direct connection because this is a program that they've applied for every year. And so it would be hard for us to justify that was because of COVID-19 that we would fund land purchase.
I know that I received a grant through South Franklin, the community center, because it takes about 6 weeks for people to get the rent assistance. And so we helped them with paying their rent immediately or their utilities. And we had 3 months to do that, and we ran out of funds within a month. And we only targeted a very small area of 84601. So I know that is a real need. And I have people that have my cell phone number that they text me all the time that they're like, I can't pay my rent. And it is a 6 to 8 week process for them to get help. Yeah, and it's through community action that they have the rental assistant program, but it's a 6 to 8 week process for them to get their paperwork. And even the HEAT program, right, Jessica? Isn't it about a 6 to 8 week process for them to get onto HEAT?
I'm not sure how long the timeline is, but yeah, we definitely could do something that supplements that emergency rental assistance program. So Stephanie, if that's a direction we want to go, you know, I could get you the application just for the CV funds, just so we get the baseline information about what that
Okay.
would entail.
All right.
Yeah, that 6 to 8 weeks would still be incurring problems as they're trying to get through that process.
Yeah.
So our goal, and not everyone did it, but our goal was that if we helped them with the funding, we had to see that they were behind with their rent. We had to see that we required a lot of sensitive information, but then we directed them right to community action. So here's the help for this month. Now go and sign up for community action so you can get that help in 6 to 8 weeks. So.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll send you that application and some of the information we've gotten from HUD about these specific CV funds for rental assistance.
What about medical bills that might be associated with COVID that's just tipping people over, that, you know, that
Mhm.
portion of people?
That run into
So-
HIPAA issues?
I don't know if it'd be HIPAA issues, but HUD, we're not allowed to make any subsistence payments to residents. We can make rent and utility payments to
I
the
get it.
utility owners or landlords. We can't make payments to residents. And I'm not sure that medical expenses will qualify. I can look into that just to double check.
Well, you know, it's a little bit of a, when I say a shell game, it's you help them with the rent so they can pay their medical bill or whatever it might be. But
Yeah.
it's getting to the people that need it the most.
Yeah.
And there's a great rental program, and Stephanie, I don't know if we're talking about the same one, but is this the one that the county has been awarded money and then the state matches it?
Yes.
So that's the one, and it's that long to try to get into the.
Summer might know too, but they hired, I think, 2 more staff members to help them. And it's not because they're slow, it's just that they need to make sure that they're not like double dipping. They have to have all their records, and I did it from October to the end of November, and just getting people, most of the people we talked to were not English speakers. So it just takes a long time. And it's not because community action or whoever's received the money is dragging their feet. It just is a process.
And right now they're going now through a new state portal, which they weren't doing last year. And so I think that's been an adjustment, accepting and processing applications through the state portal as opposed to community action processing on their own.
Okay. Well, you think of you know what, I've answered my own question before I ask it. So other, you know, as you think of COVID and how it affects people, businesses that maybe that we can just throw out there, and at least, I'll start knocking doors on if I know it, if there's an application, say this is something you need. So anyway, there's food. You can't really write them a check, so they'll go buy food.
Now we could assist the food banks.
Correct.
You wanted to, that demand has gone way up. So I know Tabitha's Way has already requested some. So we have Tabitha's Way and Community Action. We could definitely assist them.
Community action, people can walk in today and get food today.
Yeah.
But and one thing that's really nice about Tabitha's Way and Community Action and the food bank is that it will supplement your shampoo or deodorant or diapers or any kind of hygiene needs. So laundry soap. And so they can only come twice a month, but they can come and get all that. And even if they qualify for the food stamps or WIC, they can still get that. And that right now at Community Action, that is the minute they walk in that they can walk out with food that day. And I think Tabitha's Way is the same.
They are.
So,
Yeah,
We-
they've been really quick. They got one small award for $7,000 Tabitha's Way for last year, and they were really quick to spend it and report it. So do you want me to reach out specifically to those 2 food banks and see if they have need?
One person, I think that's a really good place to put this, and it gets it into the hands of people that need it the most.
Yeah,
Yes,
and they have a good track record. Like, we can be sure that it will reach families who need it for sure.
We have an outlet here that's similar to Tabitha's Way, but not exactly. Agapa.
yeah.
Yes, I spoke with her. The needs she was describing fit better with our normal CDBG programs, and so we've added her to our mailing list for the next cycle.
Wonderful. Okay. I
Yeah,
know-
and they were open, they were helping people when like DI was closed with clothes. They were
Yeah.
still handing out clothes and stuff. So they are a good program.
Yeah, they recently moved from their one location to a block east, and they've got a lot more area to store. And they're doing a food bank. They're tied with the Utah Food Bank as well. So
So Jessica, could they apply for the COVID grant or not?
that's what I was
Yeah.
wondering.
Yeah, so they can apply for CV funds. What we had discussed, I can't remember her name. It was a couple months ago, but she wanted funding for building renovations, I think, and that doesn't tie directly to COVID. And so that's why that didn't qualify, and she's on the list for the regular program. But if they want to apply for food bank, we can definitely do that.
That's-
So
that's
I can
what I-
reach back out to her as well.
Please do. Her name's Maria.
Maria, yep, that's right. Okay, I will reach out to those 3 and ask if they have any more need and if they'll submit an application.
Okay.
And then Stephanie, I will send you the application. We can talk a little more about rental assistance if we want to move forward with that.
Okay,
And then we would still need a decision on this House of Hope HVAC request.
Are you open for a motion?
I am. Mayor Frost, are you?
Okay, sorry. Thought you were chair, Jessica. Yes, would anybody like to make a motion?
Yes, Mayor Larson will make a motion to approve the new CDBG COVID for House of Hope for 15,000.
I'll second that, Mayor Wright.
Okay, a motion by Mayor Larson, second by Mayor Wright. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, Mayor Fulmer is in favor. Any opposed? Okay,
We have one more item. Do you want me to just present this quickly?
quick, please. Yes.
Okay, pretty simple. NeighborWorks received an award of $25,000 last year in FY20 for their community education program. Their contract for that ends June of this year, and they're asking to extend their agreement through December of this year. They said that because of COVID closures and things like that, that they've been slow to deliver those programs, but that they believe they're on track to spend it by the end of the year.
I think we give him the benefit of the doubt. It's been a rough year.
Yeah.
All right, anybody like to, any discussion before, or if not, I would entertain a motion.
I, Mayor Larson, will motion to extend their contract to December 2021.
Okay, motion by Mayor Larson,
I'll second it, Mayor Wright.
second by Mayor Wright. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
For the public record, Mayor Fulmer is in favor. Any opposed? Okay, passes. All right. Do we need to make a motion to adjourn?
I think we usually do.
Okay,
You got it. Motion to adjourn.
I'm
Second,
not leaving unless Summer seconds this. All right.
I'll second that.
Put it on the
I have a
record.
motion by Mayor Hunsaker, second by Summer. Valente? Valenci.
Oh, I've
Okay.
been saying it wrong. Apologies, Valenci.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate Mag, your staff. You guys are great.